Closet Conversations. It's January 1st, 2020. It's the new year, it's the new decade, and I wanted to start the decade out by saying Happy New Year and thanking all of you for listening to this podcast. The podcast is growing significantly. We're getting more and more streams and listens and downloads. The podcast is ranked as high as number 40 on the iTunes United States charts for arts and fashion. We are ranking in France and Australia and other places. So this is just terrific news. And so one of the things I'm going to do in 2020 is to focus more on my podcast and bringing you interesting people that I'm going to be interviewing. I started out by interviewing the two founders of List Perfectly at the end of this year. And I have lined up a number of people that represent organizations and companies that are supporting the reselling and consignment community. So rather than always hear me going on and on and on about how I feel and how I see things, I thought it would be a really good thing to do in 2020 to start bringing you the people that are providing these platforms, providing the services, providing the tools that we need as resellers and owners of consignment shops to do our job. And the industry is just changing. Everything has really changed. The statistics are mind-blowing if you're following them about the billions and billions of dollars now that are turning in the secondary market and where everything is headed, how traditional retail has changed. So everything is moving in a different manner. Everyone is having to pivot to figure out how they're going to adjust to these new buying habits. Personally, I think it's terrific. I love that people are turning to the secondary market to buy things that are unique, to get a deal, to find those diamonds in the rough. And one of the things that I rarely talk about is the issue of sustainability. And it's one of those things that really is at the core of what's happening. It's getting a lot of attention now to focus on that part of it. And it's something that I've spent very little time talking about. I almost because it's like breathing. It's almost like, well, that's sort of a given that what we're doing is sustainable. But part of my plan in 2020 is to talk about the whole issue of sustainability and what we are doing as resellers or consignment shop owners, where it's headed and where it fits in. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that yet, please do check out and join JennieGirl Loves Resale, Retail, and Consignment. Most recently, I think MSNBC and CBS Morning News, I've posted a number of things that they have done where they have taken a very close look at what, say, Amazon is doing, or how people who deal with landfills and waste management and all of this is happening. And so there's a lot of wonderful statistics, a lot of wonderful insight on what's happening and what's driving all of this. A Jennie Girl's Closet YouTube channel where I've been doing content, mostly haul videos and similar things that I have on this podcast, but more things about, say, what I buy and things like that. And my goal is for that channel, which as of this recording has a whopping 130 subscribers, is to get that up to 1,000 subscribers. So that's the magical number on YouTube, is if you can hit 1,000, then they start opening all these doors for you. You can monetize your channel and you can post live videos from your phone and things like that. So that's the goal for the YouTube channel, is to get some really interesting content on there and to grow that channel to 1,000 subscribers. I think that's very aggressive, but I'm gonna do it and see if that's something I can do. Also, my goal is to double my revenues on Poshmark and see if I can do that. So I did really well. Without getting into specifics, I did really well this last year, better than I have ever done on Poshmark. And my goal is to double that number. Also, to get the same amount of revenue going on eBay. And now that I'm using the List Perfectly software, I have the tools that I need to make that happen. Other goals of mine for 2020 is to start posting all of my inventory on more platforms. So the goal for me personally is to get everything on eBay and Poshmark all cleaned up. It's all good to go. I know everything is there. Then start adding the third and fourth platform. So I've had some experience with Relove, so I have things that would be great for that platform. Etsy, I've never sold anything on Etsy, but I have so much vintage that I really want to give Etsy a try this year. I also want to get my inventory up on Tradesy. So I have some up there now, but certainly not all of it. And so if I can get those three platforms working in 2020, that would be great. There's so many other platforms I want to be on, but I have to be realistic about my time, even with my tools that I have in front of me. That's just something that I'm trying to figure out for myself. So listing more will help me achieve my goal to double my revenues. Also listing more, not just cross-posting, but listing more. So right now I have about 1,050 items on Poshmark. I have just about 770 listings on eBay. This is basically the same merch. So once I get all of basically the 1,000 on each platform, then I'm going to work toward getting 1,500 on each platform. And if I can, before the end of the year, get that double to 2,000, that would be great. So I want aggressive goals, something that'll stretch me, something that I can really reach for. Now, do I have the ability to house 2,000 items? I do. I mean, if I just listed everything that wasn't listed, that's in my apartment, I'd already have my 2,000. So there's no problem with the storage of that many items. The issue is finding the time to post it and get it out there. So that's a very aggressive goal, but one I'm going to work toward, having double the amount of listings, which should also help with increasing the revenue. So I'll do that by increasing the number of items that are listed and increasing the number of platforms on which those items are posted. So that'll be great. So also continuing to do my podcasting, continuing to do the YouTubing. I'm very much working on Instagram. I have a company helping me to get content up there every day. So between those three things, hopefully that will drive more attention to my store, get more people to know about what I have, which will also help in increasing revenues. Other things that I have for this year is to do more with my styling. I do styling services, and I want to work more on that. It's something that's on the side, so to speak, meaning it's very sporadic when it happens, but when it does happen, it's pretty exciting. I want to do more of that. And I want to do more with my vintage Moschino, so I want to make sure that people continue to know that I have one of the largest collections in California and that that's available for them. Most of the selling of that inventory takes place privately, although it is now starting to all be listed on eBay. As a matter of fact, I started my first sale when I started cross-posting on List Perfectly with someone in a foreign country who bought a piece of Moschino. They couldn't get otherwise because it was only posted on Poshmark, which as of this recording was not international anywhere where someone else could get it. Even though they're in Canada, even in Canada you can't buy in the U.S. just yet. So cross-border for countries is something they're working on. So that's really something to remember in terms of being on other platforms, is choosing one that's global, because that's going to get even more and more eyeballs. Other goals for my other company that I co-own, Walker Viden Luxury Consignment, is to increase our revenues there, increase the number of consigners that we have. So we are working on a system for that, which of course includes using List Perfectly to cross on other platforms. I've got a busy year coming up. I sure do. So yeah, those are just some of my personal goals. And then outside of reselling, I'm going to get back to my music. And that is something that's been put on hold. And there's a lot of reasons for that, including the fact that my producer is all the way in LA. I'm sitting in Pasadena. And well, yeah, it seems like he's a million miles away. But producer Tommy Farragher and we started some music last year. We didn't get it finished, and now we've got some new things we want to work on for 2020. So I'm really hoping to get that going as well. And then the other thing that's on my list for 2020 is to get back to my stand-up comedy. So that might come as a shock to you, but I did get into stand-up comedy about the year right before I left New York City, and it was intriguing. I was fascinated by the whole thing. It is a very different thing to do, and it was a challenge. And if I can get up in front of somebody and talk for 5 minutes, I can do about anything. So I survived that. Um, my debut show is up on YouTube if anybody's interested in that. So yeah, so I want to get back to my creative pursuits and be very aggressive and very focused on increasing everything that I'm doing and scaling up with my reselling and consignment. And really that's just a matter of me being more focused, more disciplined, and more systematic about what I'm doing. And one of the goals that I have is to come up with some sort of template, meaning like when you have a regular job and you go into an office, that you pretty much have your day kind of outlined for yourself. You have certain expectations, and you have someone who's basically overseeing you to make sure that you meet your daily duties and expectations, right? So in this kind of business, there's no overseer, so it's easy to not do stuff. And I have this goal is to approach this kind of work with more of a systematic approach, such as, okay, let's say I'm going to start my job at 9 a.m., let's pretend. So from 9 to 10, I can share my closet. From 10 to 11, I can cross post using List Perfectly. From 11 to 12, I can do something else, maybe work on markdowns, for example. Take a lunch break. After lunch, work on something else, so work on pushing things up to eBay, work on whatever. And so one of my goals is if I can come up with something that makes sense for Walker Viden, I can do something similar for my other things that I have. But in the case of my reselling, I don't have all day to do it, right? I have the morning before I go into Walker Viden, and I have the evening when I get home. I have and I have whenever I'm off, like a day off. So it's it's a goal, but I think if there's more structure to my day, that will help me meet these aggressive goals that I have. And I think that one of the challenges everyone faces who works from home is how to feel like you can be more productive with it. And experts, people more informed than I, will tell you to dress like you're going to a job and don't lay around unbathed in your sweatpants, And I get that. So yeah, it is very much a siloed kind of business, and you don't actually have to involve anybody else other than yourself. If you're just a one person shop, you can do all the aspects of your business without involving other people. As obviously as you scale and grow and get other people involved, it's different. But a lot of people are siloed. A lot of people are doing this by themselves on their own time, separate from their families, and they're making it happen. And so that's why networking and being with other people who are doing this is so exciting for people and so thrilling. Like a Posh Sip I just went to in Pasadena for Poshmark. It was so fun just to hang out with 15, 20 other people, all women except for one person who were doing the same thing. And you learn a lot that way, and very supportive group, and I want to do more of that, more networking, more getting out there. So yeah, just a few things for 2020. So I have lots of great people lined up. I don't want to say who they are because don't want to tip my hat, as someone used to say to me a long time ago. But it's some industry leaders, people who are providing services to resellers, and I think it'll be great to hear from the top. I mean, we hear a lot from each other reseller to reseller, but it's time. I think that more people at the top of this that are providing these services, working with these platforms that are supporting resellers that we heard from them, let us hear their perspective on what all this is, what it means, and where it's headed. So to know who those people are, you'll have to subscribe. Subscribe. If you like the content you've been hearing, please leave some feedback. It's always appreciated. If you're listening to me on the podcast, you can subscribe. You can leave a review, and that's always very helpful to helping this rank. Reselling is very much a niche market, and so anything that we can do to push this topic up to the top of people's mind, I think we should do it. This podcast also should be feeding through to YouTube, so if you're listening there, feel free to subscribe to that channel so you'll know when new content is uploaded. And that's it. My name is Jennie Walker with JennieGirl's Closet. You're listening to Closet Conversations, and I look forward to having you with me on a future episode. If you like the song you're hearing, it's called Black Hat, written by Jennie Walker, that's me, and Tommy Farragher, available on iTunes now.
It was a black hat, it was a man's cap, worn backwards on his head. He was a cool cat, he'd been to hell and back. He had a look that stopped me dead. He had something that I needed. It took my strength to show my weakness. I was falling, feeling numb, like the shadow needs the sun. Won't you help me, mister? We can't go wrong. We made a fast track to the yellow cab, speeding through the lights. A last grab, a desperate stand. We were leaning on the knife. We flew away together. In the back seat, we were one, and through the rearview mirror, you can see the shadow needs the sun. We can't go wrong. There's no turning back. The train has left the track, and nothing can stop us It was a black hat, it was a man's cap, worn backwards on his head. He was a cool cat, he'd been to hell and back. He had a look that stopped me dead. He gave me his cap and his name as he turned